The appearance of this mark immediately caused the new blood created from the marrow in Wang Lin's body to surge like boiling water, rushing through his veins in a sudden torrent. Originally, within Wang Lin's body, the power of his bloodline and the force of the ancient Tao were in a delicate balance. One side was suppressed, but it would not be destroyed, continuing to exist. However, the appearance of this mark was like lighting the flames of a great battle, causing the bloodline power in Wang Lin's body to surge wildly, attempting to destroy the ancient Tao force. In response, the suppressed ancient Tao force erupted in a violent, desperate counterattack, turning Wang Lin's body into the battlefield for a deadly fight. The bloodline power, after all, was an outsider. It had only just fused with Wang Lin and could not be compared to the ancient Tao force that had accompanied him throughout his life. The intensity of the clash reached a terrifying degree. At this moment, the star marks on Wang Lin's forehead exploded with a loud crash, and one of the 7 marks shattered, transforming into a surge of ancient god power that rushed into his body. His body was immediately restored, and all of his flesh grew back. But just as his flesh materialized, the circular mark on his forehead activated, using all the bloodline power within him to explode, causing Wang Lin's body to collapse. This collapse was total. His arms, legs, body, even his head and essence spirit, all collapsed and shattered instantly, blood and flesh flying everywhere. Before they could scatter too far, however, a pure stream of immortal chi surged forth, swirling and condensing into a vague figure. This hazy figure was unmistakably an essence spirit, but not a cultivator's essence spirit. It was the true essence spirit of an immortal, a primordial immortal. As soon as the primordial immortal appeared, the flying blood and flesh immediately coalesced around it. The writhing mass quickly formed into a body. The body was translucent and gleaming, emanating an endless immortal aura, exuding an awe-inspiring presence from a distance. But just as this immortal body appeared, it trembled violently and exploded once again. Along with the explosion, the star mark on the forehead of Wang Lin's immortal body also shattered. As the immortal body collapsed and blood and flesh flew everywhere, a wave of ancient Tao aura erupted, surrounding the collapsing flesh. This made the blood and flesh quickly coalesce, and in the blink of an eye, a towering ancient god appeared in the world. However, the ancient god body did not last long before it collapsed again. Round after round, on this cultivation star, Wang Lin rapidly switched between the immortal body and the ancient god body. Each collapse brought unimaginable pain. The ancient Tao force, after all, was not plentiful, and to resist this immortal body, it required the shattering of stars. Wang Lin had no choice but to shatter the stars. If he gave up, it would no longer be a matter of choice. The ancient god force inside him would erupt into a storm, annihilating everything. At that point, he had a vague sense that death was inevitable. Balance had to be maintained, integration was required, or else this fortune would turn into a death tribulation. 7 collapses, 7 transformations between the immortal and divine, all 7 star marks shattered. Everything happened in an instant, almost in the blink of an eye. With each star shattered, the ancient god force within Wang Lin increased dramatically, transforming into Tao ancient force. This force was immense, and after the 7th star shattering, the Tao ancient force inside Wang Lin had become overwhelmingly powerful. At this moment, the 8th collapse transformation began. This time, Wang Lin shattered the star vortex that had not yet become the 8th star. With a booming sound, his body rapidly switched between the immortal and divine for the 8th time. After 8 times, Wang Lin would face a situation where there were no more stars to shatter. His ancient god body suddenly exploded, with blood and flesh scattering. Immortal chi surged once more, coalescing into that immortal body that had collapsed several times before. The immortal's indestructible body. This indestructible body came from the immortal ancestor's mark. It was because of this mark that Wang Lin possessed this undying body. The mark on his forehead flickered, making his immortal chi more concentrated. The immortal blood formed from his bone marrow circulated throughout his body, as if the immortal body had completely suppressed the ancient god force, about to take full shape. However, all of this was far from over. If Wang Lin had not inherited the Tao ancient power and was just an ordinary ancient god, this moment would mark the end. He would lose his ancient god inheritance and become a true immortal, only to collapse and die. But his ancient god inheritance came from the royal ancient god, and he had also undergone the Tao ancient inheritance, especially with the immortal ancestor's mark. The origin of this mark was mysterious, but its appearance not only triggered Wang Lin's bloodline power, but also activated his Tao ancient inheritance. As the madman had said before, this mark could never be passed to others, and especially not to the cultivators of the ancient kingdom, particularly the 3 ancient clans within the ancient kingdom. A shrill roar echoed from Wang Lin's mouth, and instantly countless fine cracks appeared all over his immortal body. At the same time, the Tao ancient force inside him erupted violently. This time, despite no star marks shattering the eruption, it seemed to trigger the second decay of the ancient god within Wang Lin's ancient god body, causing it to arrive ahead of schedule. This early arrival of the second decay was completely instigated by the immortal ancestor mark at this moment, and it was activated by the ancient will within Wang Lin's Tao ancient inheritance when faced with the crisis of being expelled. Inside Wang Lin's body, there were currently 2 blurry wills, one ancient and one immortal. The collision and choice between these 2 wills became the root cause of the present creation and crisis in Wang Lin's situation. The premature arrival of the second decay of the ancient god caused his immortal body, after developing countless cracks, to begin to collapse. The force of this collapse collided directly with the impending eruption of the second decay of the ancient god, and in an extraordinary way, the 2 forces were wildly counteracting and annihilating each other, attempting to destroy everything, including Wang Lin's essence spirit and all that surrounded him. An earth-shattering event. In this instant, Wang Lin's body and all existence completely disintegrated on a large scale. His ancient god body, in its collapse, merged with the earth of the cultivation star, causing the ground to tremble as if massive waves were rising, the earth rapidly expanding in a wave of invisible ripples. All the mountains on the ground were destroyed, leaving behind only a continent with a mirror-like surface. His immortal body, along with his shattered essence spirit, surged toward the sky, and with a thunderous roar, it seemed to split the sky from the netherworld, creating a new realm, transforming the sky into a golden one. Heaven and earth changed. A golden sky, black earth. Everything seemed like a myth, but at this moment, it had truly manifested. The madman had awakened, lying far away and staring blankly at this scene. Rubbing his eyes hard, he muttered to himself, "Am I seeing things? Golden sky, black earth. Isn't this the first phase of the 9 melodies and 3 phases that my brother mentioned when the immortal ancestor descended?" At this moment, a terrifying roar suddenly echoed from the earth, and the ground began shaking violently. It seemed as though a force erupted directly from within it, and amidst the upheaval of the earth, the madman, still in a daze, saw a gigantic black shadow emerge from the entire land of the cultivation star, forming a mountain-shaped protrusion, charging directly toward the sky. This massive phantom, towering as high as the heavens and earth, was unmistakably an ancient god of Tao Ancient. Its appearance resembled Wang Lin's, with 7 star marks spinning rapidly on its forehead. In an angry roar, it rushed toward the sky, its gigantic fists swinging as if channeling the power of the earth, smashing toward the 9 heavens. At the same time, beneath the golden sky, which shone with dazzling light like a golden ocean, a golden figure stepped forward. This figure was filled with immortal chi and exuded unparalleled majesty. It coldly stared at the Tao ancient god charging from the ground. With a flick of its sleeve, the golden sky rippled with boundless waves. From a distance, it seemed as if this figure in the sky wore a massive golden cloak, and that cloak was, in fact, the entire sky. The figure was also Wang Lin. The circular mark on his forehead shone with endless golden light, and with a wave of his sleeve, he charged directly toward the Tao ancient god. The 2 Wang Lins, in an instant, rushed toward each other, as if they were about to determine life and death. Closer and closer. In the blink of an eye, the 2 Wang Lins collided, and at the moment they were about to destroy each other, a soft, ethereal light suddenly flashed between them. This ethereal light contained a small pearl, no larger than an infant's fist. Heaven-defying, reappears. The madman, lying on the ground, suddenly widened his eyes, staring blankly at the pearl and muttering to himself. This seems very important. Seems like my brother was also searching for it. What was it again? Little Red, what is this? With a thunderous crash, the power of the golden sky and black earth collided with the suddenly appearing heaven-defying. The heaven-defying slowly began to turn. As it completed the first circle, everything in the golden sky, including Wang Lin's figure, was sucked into it, completely merging with it. In an instant, outside the heaven-defying, a golden primordial immortal body emerged. As the heaven-defying continued to turn, in the second circle, the Tao ancient god, formed from the black earth, like the golden sky, was rapidly absorbed, spreading out from the golden primordial immortal body and transforming into a towering ancient god body. However, this ancient god body emanated faint golden light. It was Wang Lin. Time seemed to freeze at this moment. After an unknown period, Wang Lin's eyes suddenly opened. His left eye blazed with golden fire, his right eye crackled with golden lightning, and the circular mark on his forehead faded. The 7 ancient star marks began to rotate, but now, these 7 star marks had turned golden. Golden star marks. At the moment his eyes opened, Wang Lin's body trembled, and he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. He shot a fierce glance at the madman on the ground, who was staring at him blankly. Taking a step forward, he landed directly on the earth, closed his eyes, and immediately crossed his legs, sitting in meditation. Under Wang Lin's gaze, the madman's mind jolted. Pretending not to notice, he whistled while looking away, though his peripheral vision kept watching Wang Lin, observing his reactions. After a long while, the madman cleared his throat and, still a distance away, called out to Wang Lin, who was sitting cross-legged. "Little lady, give this king a smile. There's a reward for you." The only response was Wang Lin's usual silence, his eyes closed as he focused on his breathing. "You're not talking? You dare not speak." When I caught little Hong back then, he didn't speak either. I ended up pulling every hair out of his body. Want to know what happened next? The madman continued, stepping closer until he sat directly opposite Wang Lin, engaging him in conversation. "You can't guess, can you? Back then, The madman laughed uncontrollably, clutching his stomach. After a long time, he finally stopped, his gaze turning vicious as he glared at Wang Lin. "Why aren't you laughing? Is what I said not funny? When I spoke like that, even the Li family would laugh immediately. If you don't laugh, I'll go find my brother." "Oh, wait. I haven't even told you what happened to little Hong. Don't you want to ask what I did to him?" "Humph. Since you won't ask, I'll tell you. Back then." "Wait, what was I talking about again?" The madman frowned, tapping his head, a look of confusion in his eyes. Damn it, how did I forget again? Once the madman started rambling, he could go on endlessly, speaking for days without pausing. He kept talking and talking, getting more excited as he went. His only regret was that Wang Lin simply listened and didn't engage. Still, having a living being to hear him was enough to satisfy him. His voice buzzed like countless mosquitoes or flies, filling the air, lingering for a long time. Wang Lin hadn't heard a word. At this moment, his body was in complete chaos. His ancient god body was outside, while his primordial immortal had replaced his essence spirit inside. Deeper still, the heaven-defying pearl was slowly rotating. If measured by mortal time, it would take a whole day, 12 hours, for the heaven-defying pearl to complete a full rotation. His primordial energy had completely collapsed and vanished, replaced by a new, thick layer of immortal energy within the blood formed in his marrow. This immortal energy far surpassed the level of primordial energy. Although its quantity was 100 or even 1,000 times less than his previous primordial energy, if his old energy were compared to a great river, then this immortal energy was but a small stream. But despite this, the flow of this tiny stream was enough to make Wang Lin's heart and mind tremble. He could sense that within this energy, there was a terrifyingly powerful aura hidden deep inside. His ancient god body outside had experienced the collapse of the 7 stars, which triggered the second decay tribulation. Though the tribulation hadn't fully erupted, It was absorbed by his physical body due to the influence of the heaven-defying pearl. As a result, his physical strength now far surpassed what it had been before, containing much more Tao ancient power. With every heartbeat, it felt like it could shake the heavens, sending shockwaves that echoed throughout the universe. A tremendous feeling surged rapidly within Wang Lin's body. He even felt confident that an ethereal powerhouse at the late stage of void nirvana would have no chance of escaping before him. Unless there was someone even stronger than a late-stage void nirvana, such as a perfect void nirvana, perhaps then he would have an opponent. At this moment, he was the fusion of immortality and divinity, an exceedingly rare change in the vast sea of stars. Whether this change was good or bad, Wang Lin did not know. But at present, his body was racked with intense pain. The rejection between his physical body and primordial immortal still existed, even though they were in the process of merging. Even the heaven-defying pearl couldn't completely eliminate or change this rejection. It could only force the fusion of his immortality and divinity, but couldn't dissolve the root of the pain within his body. If this force of rejection couldn't be resolved, Wang Lin wouldn't be able to unleash his full strength. Every time he used immortal energy, his body would suffer extreme pain, and the Tao ancient power from his flesh would interfere, limiting him to only around 20% of his true power. But even at this mere 20%, he could easily destroy a late-stage void nirvana powerhouse. If he could fully unleash his power, Wang Lin wasn't sure just how strong he would become. But one thing he knew for certain was that even someone like the Southern Cloud Master would not be his match after he unleashed all his strength. Similarly, when his physical power was used, it would also be suppressed by the primordial immortal within his body. If it were only that, it would be fine, but what worried Wang Lin the most was that the repulsive force was subtly growing stronger, as if it could erupt at any moment, shattering his physical body, destroying his primordial immortal body, and more. In that collapse, his soul, his very existence, would be completely obliterated. This repulsive force was like a death knife hanging over his head, ready to fall at any moment. Sitting cross-legged, Wang Lin's mind raced rapidly. He tried every possible method to resolve this repulsive force, but in the end, there was no solution. Though the immortal ancestor mark on his forehead appeared to be on the brink of collapse, only Wang Lin knew that it hadn't shattered. Instead, it had fused with his body and primordial immortal body, merging with the 7 ancient god star marks. This fusion caused his ancient god star mark to display something never seen before in the ancient clan, a golden ancient star. Days later, amidst the wild, spitting rant of the madman, whose exhaustion was still overshadowed by his excitement, Wang Lin opened his eyes. The moment his eyes opened, 2 golden beams shot out, landing directly in the madman's eyes. Under the intense golden gaze of Wang Lin, the madman's words abruptly stopped. He stared blankly at Wang Lin's eyes, a confused expression on his face as he scratched his head, and, with a goofy smile, asked, "Hey, how do you have the golden eyes of my clan? But it's only faint gold. Not enough, right? Look at mine." As he spoke, the madman immediately puffed up his cheeks with all his might, causing his body to bulge as if air had been forcefully pumped into him. In this moment, his dim, lifeless eyes became sharp, and 2 golden beams shot out from his eyes. With this golden gaze, the madman seemed like a completely different person, exuding an immense, awe-inspiring authority. "Well, impressive, right?" the madman spoke, only to have his imposing aura vanish in an instant. "Wait, I can get even stronger," the madman said proudly, taking a deep breath, his body inflating even further, accompanied by a series of cracking sounds as his body rapidly expanded. His emaciated frame began to fill with flesh, gradually growing stronger while a faint aura of authority began to reappear. But at that moment, there was a loud sound like thunder, and a rush of air burst out from the madman's backside. His body deflated like a punctured balloon, and his golden eyes instantly disappeared, leaving them vacant once more. Embarrassed, he scratched his head, his face flushed, and awkwardly chuckled. That was an accident." "It was an accident." Wang Lin looked at the madman with a complex expression. Under Wang Lin's gaze, the madman became even more embarrassed, clutching his backside with his right hand, and stepping back a few paces. Accident, huh? You keep looking at me like that. Weird. I rarely deflate like that. Could someone be missing me? The madman mumbled to himself. He then touched his backside, instinctively sniffing his fingers. Wang Lin sighed inwardly. This madman had granted him great fortune, but at the same time, this fortune nearly cost him his life. In truth, without the immortal ancestor mark, Wang Lin's body would not have been in this state. Though there would still be a repulsive force, it would not be as intense as it was now. Forget it. What's the point of arguing with this madman? Wang Lin shook his head. His greatest concern right now was the increasing repulsive force. With a thoughtful expression, he withdrew his gaze, raised his right hand, and reached into the void. Instantly, a rift appeared, and with a grab, a powerful demonic aura erupted. Before him, the ancient demon from the tomb appeared. This ancient demon's body had originally been petrified, but when Wang Lin obtained the Tao ancient inheritance, it transformed. Now, it was like a true physical body, with 6 demonic stars flickering in its right eye, although it remained lifeless, a mere corpse. Staring at the 6-star ancient demon, Wang Lin had initially planned to refine a demonic soul to make this ancient demon his clone. However, the increasing repulsive force inside him caused him to change his mind. With a flash of his eyes, Wang Lin raised his right hand and pointed forward. Instantly, the ancient demon trembled violently. As it shook, its massive body began to wither rapidly, shrinking until its flesh and blood were all converted into demonic energy, which surged toward the 6 demonic stars in its right eye. In the blink of an eye, the ancient demon's body completely vanished, all its essence converging into the 6 demonic stars. With a grab of Wang Lin's right hand, they shot directly toward his right eye. In an instant, the 6 demonic stars merged into Wang Lin's right eye, branded under the golden lightning. The moment the demon star entered his body, Wang Lin took a deep breath. With a hand gesture, his body shuddered. At once, the 7 golden ancient god star marks on his forehead flickered with golden light, rapidly merging into his right eye, integrating swiftly with the 6 demon stars. The madman, stepping back, stood at a distance, staring blankly at the scene. He rubbed his eyes and muttered to himself, based on the ancient god, split by the ancient demon. This is the Tao ancient lineage of the 3 great royal families of the ancient kingdom. The 3 great families of the ancient kingdom. The extreme ancient one is based on demons, the primordial ancient one is based on devils. Strange. He is clearly from my immortal clan, and has the undying body that only my brother and I possess. How could he be a cultivator from the ancient kingdom? How strange. So strange. Humph. Who in the world dared to grant an immortal clan undying body to a cultivator from the ancient kingdom? If my brother knew about this, he would be furious. No, this king must find out who dared to do this. As the madman spoke to himself, his expression became serious. Gradually, the 6 demon stars in his right eye all turned golden, hidden beneath the golden lightning, making it nearly impossible for anyone else to see. This helped to suppress the increasingly intense repulsive force within him, slightly slowing its growth. However, this method only delayed the crisis. It did not fundamentally solve the problem. The repulsive force remained, like a shadow, circling around Wang Lin's mind. Opening his eyes, Wang Lin's expression was grim. He didn't even glance at the madman but stared at the sky instead. I remember on the battlefield, after I acquired Li Guang's bow, the netherworld beast released a golden storm, and under my mental command, it swallowed me into its body. The world I am in now is clearly inside the netherworld beast's body. Leaving here would be easy. While thinking, the madman noticed Wang Lin waking up and immediately became excited. He pointed at Wang Lin, his expression full of seriousness as he growled, "Speak. Who gave you the immortal clan's undying body? Damn it. This king wants to see who the hell dared to do this." The madman's expression turned furious. Wang Lin was stunned. He looked at the madman, examined him carefully, and after recalling the earlier events, he confirmed that this person was indeed a madman, and a madman with a very poor memory. This person has an extremely significant background. He claims to be this king, and his words are shocking. Who is he really? Upon noticing Wang Lin's gaze, the madman immediately perked up, seemingly forgetting his previous words. A wicked grin spread across his face as he chuckled. "Hey, little girl, smile for me. I have a reward for you. A real reward." Wang Lin furrowed his brow, his expression turning cold. He completely ignored the madman and instead flicked his right hand, immediately summoning a bow into his grasp. The bow, which had already fused with his bloodline when he awakened, was undamaged even after his body collapsed, and had merged with his primordial immortal. With a thought, it materialized in his hand. However, the string was broken, making it unusable. Looking at the bow, a complex expression flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He sighed inwardly and stored it away, his gaze drifting into deep thought. How can I solve this repulsive force? Seeing Wang Lin ignore him, the madman snorted, muttering to himself. If you won't smile, then I won't reward you. My blood is extremely precious, a single drop worth countless treasures. I won't give you any, not even one drop. Despite his words, the madman's eyes gleamed with mischief as he grinned and said to Wang Lin, all right, I'll let it go. Since you're shy, you can laugh later. How about this, little girl, tell me your name. I'll give you a reward. You won't even tell me your name? Damn it. You. Then at least tell me your age, right? Still not saying? Fine, I like this stubbornness of yours. The more you act like this, the more excited I get. The madman burst into laughter and started rambling again, circling around Wang Lin as he continued talking. Wang Lin grew increasingly annoyed and finally looked up at the madman, speaking slowly. Shut up. The madman froze, his eyes bulging in surprise. His body stopped, and he opened his mouth to shout. No one dares speak to me like that. You have some nerve. A cold glint flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. He raised his right hand and waved it forward. In an instant, a golden gust of wind appeared from nowhere, causing the entire cultivation star to shake violently. The wind swept the madman away, and with a scream, he was blown far off. Finally, it was quiet. Wang Lin lowered his arm, his gaze once again filled with contemplation. However, Wang Lin had underestimated the determination of a madman. Before his thoughts could fully settle, a series of low roars echoed from the distance. That madman had returned at full speed, charging forward with wild eyes. In the blink of an eye, he was back before Wang Lin, mouth wide open in a fierce roar, just about to speak when. True, Wang Lin's right hand swept forward, and a storm erupted once more. With a miserable scream, the madman was flung away again. Once, twice, 3 times, up to 7 or 8 times. The madman kept returning at top speed after each storm, roaring in Wang Lin's face, seemingly trying to finish the sentence. But each time, he never got the chance. Almost the moment he arrived, he was swept away again. His screams echoed piercingly across the otherwise quiet cultivation star. By the 15th time, a sharper glint appeared in Wang Lin's eyes. He faintly noticed something strange. Beneath the madman's screams was a hint of joy. On the 16th return, Wang Lin simply stopped raising his sleeve. He waited, letting the madman finish what he had to say. So thrilling, the madman shouted with a face full of excitement. After his shout, he closed his eyes in intoxicated bliss, clearly waiting for something. A while passed. Confusion appeared on his face as he opened his eyes and looked at Wang Lin. Wang Lin looked back, eyes growing colder. Fly, come on, fly. The madman blinked and jumped a few times, arms spread as if imitating flight. Seeing Wang Lin unmoved, he grew annoyed. Turning his back to Wang Lin, he hopped again and turned to speak seriously. This king is having a great time. Hurry up and continue. Wang Lin felt like he was about to lose his mind. Gritting his teeth, he didn't raise his sleeve this time. He directly lifted his right foot and slammed it hard into the madman's rear, unleashing 70% of his physical strength, carefully restrained so as not to trigger the repulsive force. That 70% of his fleshly strength was enough to shake a mid-stage void nirvana cultivator. With a roar of wind, Wang Lin's foot connected solidly. The madman let out an ecstatic scream as he was launched through the air, arms stretched wide, drawing a graceful arc as he was flung into the distance. Moments later, he came sprinting back for the 17th time, face filled with uncontainable excitement. This time, he didn't speak upon arrival. He stopped a few meters from Wang Lin, opened his mouth wide to let out a long roar, then turned around, lifted his rear, closed his eyes, and spread his arms again. Wang Lin clenched his fist and took a deep breath, gradually calming himself. You like roaring, huh? Very well. Wang Lin raised his hand and grasped at the air. A rift opened, his storage cracked, and with a pull, a massive black ape came crashing out and landed with a heavy thud. This was the black ape Wang Lin had once found on a continent in the Sea of Clouds. Though not powerful, it was a beast exceptionally fond of roaring. As soon as it appeared, it raised its head and bellowed into the sky. Its thick arms pounded its chest, producing deafening bangs. The madman paused, turned, and upon seeing the ape, his eyes lit up with glee. He immediately ran to face the black ape and began roaring at it. He even mimicked its actions, pounding his chest in booming rhythm. The black ape's eyes flickered with confusion as it stared intently at the strange man before it. Though it could sense the man's terrifying aura, under the influence of Wang Lin's divine sense, its fear gradually faded, replaced by anger. It roared back. And so, man and ape stood face to face in a wild, unending roar-off, each trying to out-bellow the other. Their thunderous howls shook the heavens and grew more intense with each breath. Wang Lin let out a long breath and ignored the madman. Closing his eyes, he returned to deep contemplation, seeking a way to resolve the repulsive force within his body. Gradually, a hint of clarity emerged. My 5 fundamental origins, the hardest to master, are life and death, cause and effect, and truth and falsehood. If I can perfect these 3 and fuse them into the great Tao, I might be able to use a hidden technique to manipulate the repulsive force inside me. With the origin of life and death, I can see through the veil between existence and non-existence, splitting the repulsive force into 2 streams, life and death. With the origin of cause and effect, I can craft a self-sustaining cycle between these 2 opposing flows. And finally, using the origin of truth and falsehood, I can deceive the repulsive force itself, tricking it as I would a Tao, allowing complete fusion between my primordial immortal and Tao ancient self. A sharp gleam flashed in Wang Lin's eyes. After thoroughly analyzing the plan, he revealed a look of determination. If I can achieve this, I will perfect all 5 fundamental origins. My 5 fingers will be whole again. I can break through the gate of emptiness and truly become a 3rd step great power. At that point, how powerful will I be? He clenched his fist. Life and death, cause and effect, truth and falsehood. I've already analyzed these paths, but I'm still missing one thing. Something that will greatly increase my chances. Tao fruits. I need more Tao fruits. The more, the better. As he fell into thought, the sound of roaring gradually weakened. The black ape could no longer withstand the endless screaming, its voice growing hoarse. Its eyes, when turned toward the madman, were filled with terror. Taking several steps back with a thud, the black ape didn't dare to roar again, instead looking at Wang Lin with a pleading expression. The madman was even more pleased with himself. Although there was exhaustion on his face and his voice had grown hoarse, his expression was filled with excitement. He slammed both hands hard onto his chest and, with a raspy laugh, said, I grew up shouting at my brother. Little Red is even afraid of my roars. On the entire immortal firmament continent, who doesn't know that I have the loudest and most beautiful roar? You, a mere little monkey, dare to compare roars with me. Come, let's finish comparing roars, and then we'll see whose divine art is stronger. Look at this one of mine. How impressive it is. Gasping for breath, the madman raised his right hand and pointed toward the sky. Immediately, the sky above the cultivation star flickered with a glow, and within that glow, a gigantic palm slowly formed. The palm exuded overwhelming majesty, with clear palm lines visible, which then turned into a massive palm imprint, descending with a thunderous sound. Spirit subjugation seal. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed as his expression changed. He remembered that this madman had previously used several divine arts when Wang Lin was immobilized, each one authentic and powerful. Staring at the spirit subjugation seal descending from the sky, Wang Lin's heart raced. This was another enormous fortune the madman had granted him, following the immortal bloodline. In the center of the palm, every line of the palm was incredibly clear, looking like a real hand, solid and not a mere illusion. This seal was very similar to the spirit subjugation seal Wang Lin had learned, but with subtle differences. The version he knew was just a large hand without clear palm lines, and when it appeared, it would absorb the energy of heaven and earth to grow massive. While it contained a formidable technique, it was somewhat hard to control. As the spirit subjugation seal grew larger and absorbed more energy from the heavens and earth, it would eventually become uncontrollable. Wang Lin understood that this difference was due to his own realization rather than inheritance of the spirit subjugation seal. The true spirit subjugation seal, especially when performed by the Water Path Master, clearly lacked these flaws. However, even the Water Path Master's version of the seal was far less clear in its palm lines compared to the one this madman had created, and there were no strange ripples at the edges of the palm. These ripples appeared as though they were a tremor, an extremely powerful shaking force, akin to the black tortoise's most powerful technique. As Wang Lin observed, his expression grew serious. He watched the spirit subjugation seal crash down, hitting the ground with a tremor. A shock wave erupted, swirling around in all directions, enveloping everything in a thick mist. Wang Lin, under the palm imprint, could feel the weight of it bearing down on him. His eyes revealed a calculating expression as he pondered the changes and applications of this technique, such as spirit subjugation seal. The tremor is external, shaking the heavens and earth as if enslaving them. It enslaves the primordial energy of the world to form the palm imprint. Or maybe it enslaves the force of the heavens and earth to form a spirit, which is then imbued with immortal power to become the spirit subjugation seal. But there are still some unclear details. I need the secret incantations for the true spirit subjugation seal. Wang Lin licked his lips, his eyes flashing with brilliance. When the dust settled, the madman, grinning widely, laughed up to the sky. How about that? How's my divine art? Isn't it amazing? In his wild laughter, the madman seemed to be showing off to the black ape, but his eyes were actually scanning Wang Lin, showing an air of arrogance. Wang Lin smiled. Looking at the madman, his smile grew wider. Seeing Wang Lin smile, the madman became confused, looking down at his own body, scratching his head in bewilderment, unable to understand what Wang Lin was laughing about. This divine art is decent, but I can do it too, and mine is much stronger. Wang Lin spoke slowly, his voice calm and steady. The madman sneered, pointing at Wang Lin and grinning. My divine art is the strongest. Except for my brother, no one can compare to me. Hee, you want to steal my technique? Let me tell you, my brother said no one is allowed to learn my divine arts. You'd better not try. I won't teach you, even if you kill me. Back then, someone tried to steal my art, but I saw through it with a single glance. I'm too smart to be tricked. Wang Lin stopped speaking. He raised his right hand and pressed it toward the sky. Suddenly, the sky shook with a mighty force, and a blurred palm imprint appeared. As it appeared, it immediately began to absorb the energy of the surrounding heavens and earth. As the imprint grew clearer, it rapidly descended toward the ground. As it fell, an immense pressure descended from the sky, and strong winds howled, causing the earth to crack with loud snapping sounds, huge rifts splitting open. The madman's wild hair was blown by the wind, and his eyes became dazed. He stared blankly at the palm imprint crashing down. Just as it was about to land, Wang Lin's eyes flashed. He took a deep breath, and with a forward motion of his right hand, he muttered, "Condense, condense, condense." 3 condensed characters were uttered, and the palm imprint rapidly shrank. However, during its reduction, signs of instability erupted, as though it were about to break free from control. In the end, with a loud boom, it slammed into the earth, shaking the entire cultivation star. The madman was even tossed into the air by the tremor of the ground. A massive palm imprint, clearly branded into the distant land, appeared. This imprint was about 10,000 feet in size, and from afar, it resembled a massive pit in the sky. If you can use the same divine art as before to create such a branded sky pit, then I'll admit your divine art is impressive. Wang Lin spoke slowly, a hint of disdain flashing across his face. It was this slight disdain that caused the madman's eyes to instantly turn red. He began frantically waving his arms, pounding his chest, emitting low growls. This was a gesture he had just learned from the black ape, and he thought it was quite domineering. "I am the strongest. Just wait." The madman, seething with rage, took a step forward and immediately used his divine art. He raised his right hand and pointed at the sky. With continuous roars, a massive palm imprint appeared out of nowhere. He swung his right hand, and the imprint crashed into the earth with a loud roar, lifting a huge cloud of dust and leaving a shallow mark on the ground. The madman froze for a moment, looked at the shallow mark, then glanced at the sky pit created by Wang Lin. His eyes filled with madness, and his roar grew even fiercer. He used the same soul subjugation seal again, slamming it down. Wang Lin, observing intently, had all his focus on this. His eyes flickered rapidly as he tried to deduce every detail of the soul subjugation seal. At this moment, he had forgotten everything else. His mind was entirely absorbed by the seal the madman was repeatedly performing. There would be no other opportunity or chance like this. Someone was actually demonstrating the same divine art repeatedly in front of him. Even between master and disciple, it would be hard to achieve such an extent. Half an hour later, the madman had used the soul subjugation seal dozens of times, each strike landing on the same ground. The imprint deepened slightly, but it still couldn't compare to Wang Lin's sky pit. The madman was now panting heavily. Repeatedly using this divine art had drained him, and just as he was considering giving up, he stole a glance at Wang Lin. What he saw on Wang Lin's face, those hints of disdain and mockery, ignited his fury. "Damn it! I don't believe this," he growled, seemingly forgetting his fatigue. He madly began using the soul subjugation seal again, repeatedly slamming it into the earth. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Every time he thought about giving up, he would see that growing disdain on Wang Lin's face, a look he could not tolerate. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot. He watched carefully while his right hand moved before him, quickly deducing and comprehending with his incredible insight. 6 hours later, the madman had performed the soul subjugation seal several hundred times. Sweat drenched his body, his tongue sticking out in exhaustion, barely able to catch his breath. "Damn it, I'm so tired. I'm done. If I can't do it, I can't do it. What's the big deal? I'm going to sleep," he muttered, about to give up. However, he subconsciously looked at Wang Lin, and when he saw that look of shock on Wang Lin's face, he froze. It was this very shock that sparked a surge of excitement in the madman. He roared to the sky and fiercely slapped his chest. If Wang Lin had still shown disdain, the madman would have definitely ignored him, given how tired he was. But seeing that shock on Wang Lin's face gave him confidence. Haha, this little brat finally isn't mocking me anymore. Well, alright, I'll put in some more effort and show him how powerful I really am. The madman, now excited, turned around and resumed his attacks. Wang Lin's eyes flickered. As time passed, the palm imprint in his mind grew clearer and clearer, becoming more deeply engraved. For hours, 5 hours. By the time 7 hours had passed, the madman's roars had become hoarse, his eyes bloodshot. In his final roar, he slammed the last soul subjugation seal into the earth. The ground rumbled, and a deep palm imprint appeared. It was almost identical to the depth of Wang Lin's imprint. After finishing all this, the madman collapsed, panting heavily. His face was filled with extreme fatigue, but he still managed to muster the strength to shout hoarsely at Wang Lin. "How's that? How's that? My divine art is the strongest." Wang Lin's expression was filled with shock as he slowly spoke. "I need to check this personally." "Go ahead and check, huh? I'll wait." The madman's eyes showed disdain, but he couldn't hide his smug satisfaction. Wang Lin's shocked look had filled him with immense pride, as if all his fatigue had become insignificant. Wang Lin stood up and, with a serious expression, took a deliberate step forward. He walked over to the large pit created by the madman's soul subjugation seal, carefully observing it for a long time. As he studied the pit, the madman appeared to be resting, but his eyes were locked onto Wang Lin, constantly watching his every move, hoping to witness even more of a shocking reaction. Gradually, however, the madman started to sense something was off. Wang Lin's expression, initially full of shock, slowly shifted from astonishment to calm. Then, to his surprise, the mocking look that had so excited the madman reappeared on Wang Lin's face. Seeing the disdain on Wang Lin's face, the madman was immediately consumed with rage. He glared at Wang Lin, baring his teeth. I didn't expect you to be so insidious. You clearly can't match my divine arts, yet you've secretly tampered with things. Wang Lin shook his head, his look of contempt growing stronger. He turned around and sat down cross-legged, ignoring the madman entirely. The madman froze for a moment, his face flushed with anger. He charged towards Wang Lin, shouting, I didn't. This king didn't. The divine art you used these past few hours is not the same as the one you used before. Don't try to fool me. Wang Lin opened his eyes and coldly spoke. You're slandering me. This king used the same divine art. There's no mistake. Go look again. Go take another look. I didn't deceive you. The madman panicked, his eyes even starting to well up with tears. He felt incredibly wronged. After hours of hard work, after finally achieving this result, he was being accused of deception.